Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for another brief video interview with one of the leaders here at SecureOps. Today, we have the pleasure of welcoming Ahmad Alomari. He is a principal cybersecurity engineer here at SecureOps, and he's going to talk to us today about CCPA, or the California Consumer Privacy Act, better known as AB 375 to some folks. And he's going to talk about the implications and obligations companies inside and outside of California have with this legislation. If you do want to read more about it, SecureOps has great resources. They have a services page on CCPA and also a blog post. Hey, Ahmad, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Hi, Robin.
Hello. Is there anything you want to tell us about your background that helps contribute to your expertise in CCPA?
Yes, thanks. Actually, I'm a cybersecurity engineer. My focus is cybersecurity engineering and architecture. I help clients to deploy a secure architecture and complex designs in different environments, on-prem and in cloud, and I provide security controls to ensure that we are deploying secure implementations and systems.
Great, thank you. So what steps are organizations going to have to take prior to the law going into effect on January 1st, 2020?
Yeah, CCPA law needs a long plan. Big and medium-sized organizations should have started planning for CCPA some time ago, I would say, to be able to meet the deadline, which is January 1, 2020. Organization has to understand first of all if they fall under the CCPA law. Once they identify that, they should start working together on identifying all impacted systems and websites that should comply with the CCPA law.
Good, thank you. And then what organizations do you think are going to be affected most by the legislation?
CCPA law has brought a few criteria where companies for companies that are affected in the CCPA law. If your business earn is 25 millions or more, then you are impacted by CCPA law. Business that annually buy, receive, or sell personal information of 50,000 consumer or more. And business that derive 50% or more of their annual revenue from selling customer information. So these are the main criteria that CCPA law mandated for businesses to know that they are impacted by the law or not.
Right, and they're quite specific. So what do you think about the impact of CCPA on some of these organizations, meaning penalties or any kind of sanctions that may be put on them by violating CCPA?
Yeah, for sure. It's a law, and this law is to protect consumers, and consumers have to know, and all we know that companies usually use customer information for their own interest to make profit and revenue. So this law came into business to give control to California consumers to have the right to control what information these companies have about them, and provide them the right to opt in, opt out from like allowing these companies to sell their information. They give them the right to submit a data subject right, and to understand what information these companies are collecting and hosting about them, and give them the right to ask the companies to delete this information once they understand the type of data that these companies are storing about their customers.
Interesting. Okay. And then what are some of the problems that you've seen as you've helped companies implement protection against CCPA, or change databases, or try and protect sensitive information?
Like it's not issues. I would say CCPA impact any data store in the company. If the company is in scope of CCPA, that means they have to start identifying what applications are impacted by CCPA. If we are talking about the opt-in, opt-out, that means any publicly facing website that provides service to customers will be impacted by CCPA, and the company has to identify those and start implementing the opt-in, an opt-out feature to allow customers like to use that feature. If we are talking about data subject write request or delete request, that means the company has to connect all these backend systems and make them available at one click from the customer to submit a data subject write or delete request to them. So the issue that companies has to understand implementing CCPA requires lots of planning, lots of like designs and architecture from different contributors to be able to meet the timelines and implement CCPA as mandated by the law.
Well, how do you think it's different than GDPR? And GDPR came about around May 25th, 2018. And I know a lot of organizations have had issues implementing protections against that legislation. What do you think the big differences are between the two?
You know, there are differences by the information impacted type of request, but they are not that much different from my point of view. Maybe others will say they have other opinions. I would say CCPA is an outcome of GDPR. GDPR founded or the establishment for CCPA. So I would say CCPA is a result of GDPR. There are minor differences between both of them, but I would say the goal of both of them is similar and the same.
Now, when you think about how organizations deal with collecting data and handling the data, putting the data into databases so that they're protected, what are some of the bigger challenges that they're having dealing with the legislation and how they now are collecting and handling data?
Yeah, for sure. You know, generally speaking, aside from CCPA law, companies are mandated to protect this information, even to meet other regulation. You know, if you are handling customer information that is classified as confidential or restricted, without delving deep into this, classifying this, you are mandated to secure this information by securing all security perspectives of these data without the law. The CCPA law came into the picture without imposing any specific controls on companies to implement security requirements, but CCPA law will force companies to pay fines, and they will be accounted for any breaches that is happening for lack of violation or implementing security controls. So I would say CCPA law will push companies to consider security more, to consider security as an integral part of any implementation where we deal with customer information and customers' privacy, and implement the right security requirements to secure this information and keep it secure against any breaches or unauthorized access.
Interesting. So, I mean, you boiled this down into just a few minutes. We know this is a long, complicated
Yes,
law,
for sure.
10,000
Yes.
pages. 10,000 words. It's 31 pages. So if anybody has any questions, please contact SecureOps. They'll be happy to help you. Ahmad, is there any takeaways that you want our audience to kind of remember from this interview and from what to do with CCPA?
You know, I want to speaking about to companies, I want to tell them CCPA is allowed to make companies consider security as an integral part, again, as for any implementation where they deal with customer information. Talking to customers, I want to tell them CCPA law is a great law to help customers protecting their information and give them control over their information when they receive or buy any service from companies, and trust that company to store and keep their restricted information within their environments.
That's great. So we appreciate you being here. We can't wait to have you back again, and maybe a little
Thank
bit
you.
after CCPA has been implemented, and just
Yes.
kind of see what effect this has had on companies. But again,
Yes.
thank you so much, and most of all, thanks to our audience. We appreciate you joining us. If you have any questions, please contact us here at SecureOps. Have a
Yes.
great day, Ahmad.
Thank you very much, Robert. Have a nice day. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Take care.
Bye. Bye. Take care.